This is Kevin Pawlowski from Paradise Found Studio. We're taking another field trip to Howard Finster's Paradise Garden. Okay, part one of this, we went through the garden, saw all this amazing stuff. Part two, we're going to talk about Howard Finster himself as I'm walking through as well. So come on over.
In our last episode, we took a tour of Paradise Gardens in Summerville, Georgia. This is the magnum opus of one of the most visionary and certainly the most prolific sacred artists of all time, the Reverend Howard Finster. Howard is bigger than his garden, of course, so I'm going to spend this episode covering his life and other accomplishments, and there are so many. For those who aren't familiar with Howard Finster, he was a modern folk artist, sometimes called naive artist, because he had no formal art training, no education beyond the 6th grade level actually. Howard was born in 1916 in Alabama and lived his early life on a farm with 13 other kids. By his telling, he had his first vision when he was 3, when he saw his deceased sister Abby Rose walking down out of the sky wearing a white gown. She told him, "You're gonna be a man of visions." He was born again in the Baptist church at 13 years old and was preaching himself by the age of 16. He became a full-time pastor at Rockbridge Baptist Church in 1940 and later Mount Carmel Baptist Church in Fort Payne, Alabama. In the late 1940s, Howard moved to Tryon, Georgia, and built his first garden park museum featuring the inventions of mankind. His vision was to display one of everything that had ever been invented: models of houses and churches, a pigeon flock, and a duck pond. In 1961, Howard decided to move his park near Summerville, Georgia, on a 4-acre lot, and founded the Plant Farm Museum, which was dubbed Paradise Gardens in a 1975 article in Esquire magazine, and the name stuck.
You know, like if you had a place itching up here on your head, Johnny, and the first time you put your hand up here, you put your hand right on where it is. Don't matter where it is at, you'd put your hand on it, you know. Mm-hmm. And if you used to ask me to scratch it, I wouldn't know where to look. See, I just had a feeling to build this garden, like you have a feeling, you know right what to scratch.
That makes very good sense.
It featured such attractions like the Meditation Chapel, the Mirror House, the Mosaic Gardens, the Hubcap Tower, and the largest structure in the garden, the 5-story Folk Art Chapel. He also started putting up signs with Bible verses on them because, quote, he felt that they stuck in people's heads better that way. In 1976, he saw a vision that would change the direction of his life.
I got my first calling to paint. I was pastoring churches, so I just took this finger here and dipped it down in paint and started patching on this bicycle. And I looked to see if I had enough paint on my finger, and when I did, there was a face on my finger. There's something come to me like a voice, a soundless voice said, "Paint sacred art." And I said to that voice, I said, "Artists can do that, but not me." And it come to me again, "How do you know you can't?" And that dawned on me, how do I know? So I just reached in my billfold and I took a $1 bill out of it with George Washington on it. And I taped this up on a piece of plywood, and I began to draw George Washington off of that.
As I mentioned, Howard was not a formally trained artist. He was self-taught, and most of his work was inspired by visions, and wild visions at that. Each painting also included a number because God told him in a vision that he needed to create 5,000 paintings. In 1983, he reached the broader public on a TV show called The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
You welcome Howard Finster. Howard? How are you, Howard?
How old am I?
No, how are you?
I make up songs, you know. My grandkids, I got 15 grandchildren, you know, and a lot of times they'll be out there and I'll make up a song about them and their sweethearts, you know, and then watch how they look while I'm singing it. You know. Yeah, I've been requested several times to sing this little tune. I sung it out there. It's like when I come into California, you know, I just said, just hanging around, oh, California land, all the pretty girls, they fell into my hands. They leaned back on my thumb, they looked down in my face. I thought I heard them say, did you come from space?
Also in 1983, the Athens, Georgia-based alternative rock group REM shot the video for Radio Free Europe in Paradise Gardens. Howard Finster's artwork was featured on the Talking Heads album Little Creatures in 1985. Even album art was part of his mission. I quote, "I think there's 26 religious verses on that first cover I done for them. They sold 1 million records in the first 2.5 months after it come out. And there's 26 million verses I got out into the world in 2.5 months." He painted the cover for the REM album called Reckoning in 1987. Reckoning featured the image of a serpent, which was a reoccurring theme in his paintings, and in his concrete sculpture Serpent of the Wilderness in Paradise Gardens. Howard Finster completed his goal, set by his vision from God of 5,000 paintings in 1985. He didn't slow down after that and continued to be highly prolific, with his influence spreading throughout the art world. His work has been exhibited in museums and galleries all across the U.S., and the Atlanta High Museum has a permanent installation. Howard Finster died in 2001 and had created about 47,000 works of art. While his Paradise Gardens had fallen into disrepair from the rough Georgian elements since his death, in 2010 efforts had begun to restore it to its former glory. Howard Finster is recognized today as a major artist, a visionary, and an inspiration for those of us dabbling in the sacred arts. He created a massive and important body of work that lives up to this quote inscribed in his garden. "I took the pieces you threw away, put them together by night and day, washed by rain and dried by sun, 1 million pieces, all in one."
So now you know the rest of the story of Howard Finster and his Paradise Garden. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like. We'd love to hear any comments you have, and please subscribe. We're looking for subscribers. We're going to be doing these type of videos every other week, interviewing artists and touring, so please watch for our feed.